Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rudy Segura, and I'm joined by Cristian Putelias. Brother, how you doing?
Doing fantastic. How's it going, everybody? Excited to what you guys are going to hear in this episode. What's coming up next with some little previews, kind of. But yeah, I'm just excited for the season to get going and just waiting patiently.
I know, man. I am waiting patiently myself. I finally put it usually is as soon as the schedule comes out for Dynamo actually for all of them, whenever the Dynamo 2 dash, I throw it in my calendar, and I just did that 2 days ago, and it got me more excited because I was like, all right, you know what? I want to be here for this day, this day, this day.
Yeah.
Don't invite me to that wedding. I'm not going to your baby's baby shower, or I'm not going to trying to make plans ahead of time. Sure, man. Just soccer, man, in general is going to be fun. It's going to be fun in 2024. And like I said, there's not a ton of news. Keeping it short, brief. This won't be a super long episode. We did get to talk to Tom Bogert, so he made a little bit of time for us to try to get the perspective of the national media, and having one of the best insiders kind of break down a little bit of what's coming and happening with the offseason, which right now is not a lot for the Dynamo. But Christian, we did get some news about a possible, because it hasn't been official yet as we record, new assistant for Van Olsen. So we'll talk about that. And also the only other thing, because we'll be recording next Monday or Tuesday, is the fact that the NWSL Draft, the 2024 NWSL Draft, is actually happening on Friday, January 12th at, I'm going to say 7 p.m. Yep, 7 p.m. Central. The Houston Dash currently hold 4 picks in this year's draft, starting with the number 19 overall pick. 4 picks, man. That's actually pretty good if they could land a couple. But they have the 19 overall, 36th, 40th, and 47th. So they're kind of down there. So you hope that one of those kind of lands you a player that can come in and do some damage, as they truly need. They need, I don't know, this season for the Dash should be an interesting one, man. But I guess before we get going, not necessarily a Dash question for you, but the draft, man. What do you think about the draft in general? I mean, a very American thing, and that's why I ask it, because we're used to it from NFL and NBA being a big deal. But what's your thoughts on that? What does your Argentinian brain take you there, man?
I don't know. It makes no sense to me, right? And some in some aspect of it, but then when it comes to the women's soccer side of things, I think it's more useful than the men's side. You see a lot of more women soccer players come out of the collegiate system, come to play professional in the women's league compared to the men's league. Obviously, it's gotten a lot better. I think women's soccer has grown in the last, I don't know, 10 years, like exponentially, like crazy big, right? And it's only getting, bigger and better.
Yeah.
I think leagues are getting more eyes on them, especially like the women's Premier League and here the NWSL. Those are probably the two main leagues in the world, I would like venture to say. But I think, yeah, they're getting a lot of more recognition, and the draft itself, it's a lot of where you see the most potential of
Right.
new stars come forward for that league.
Yeah, I just find it fascinating because, like I said, obviously for the soccer leagues, being the MLS and NWSL, these guys will make not even close the amount of money if you're a first round pick or a first overall, compared to, again, the NFL or
Yeah.
NBA. But it's just crazy. I like it though. To be honest, it took me a while to kind of get used to it. Growing up watching the soccer college sports and then being, oh, there's a draft. I didn't really get that. But it's
Mhm.
nice, it gives you that opportunity. Basically,
Yeah.
just winning the lottery, a team takes you. Not a lot of guys tend to pan out, but it gives you a good opportunity.
Gives you a
Just
shot.
showcase your challenge. Exactly.
Yeah.
Sueño
Yeah.
MLS, basically,
Exactly.
bro.
It's a great like route, not route, but a great opportunity or avenue for a young player to kind of also try to make it, into the MLS, into the big leagues. We're used to the usual, but that's the thing also, right? Culturally, maybe in our countries, you're used to playing in the academies and building your way up, through the ranks. And here, some of the teams, their academies are not as, built as such. I mean, we see it in the Houston Dynamo. I think in the last 2 to 3 years, that's when they have kind of ramped it up, literally from the root, in a bad way, kind of got rid of Paul Holliker. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but
Sure.
they moved on from him. Hired new people to kind of run the program, and they starting to create like a new atmosphere for the young player to kind of move up, especially with Houston Dynamo Dos being part of that situation. It's been helping a lot, and college soccer has become a new avenue as well, because not only can it land you, in those, because you can be a player, play in the academies, go out, go to college. If nothing pans out, you can get out, have a degree, of some sort. Nothing is lost. There's a lot of players, I mean, in Argentina that, they give their life to soccer, then they get to 20 years old and they have to, go have a construction job. Nothing against that, right? But is a job that doesn't require any titles or anything like that.
Yeah.
And when you give your whole youth to the dream of soccer, and then you get an injury, or maybe your career doesn't pan out the way that you wanted to pan out, and you have nothing to your name. At least here in the American way, you're able to kind of have your studies, get a degree, kind of have that alignment, next to your soccer career. And if one doesn't pan out, you can kind of rely on the other. So it kind of works out in a way. Obviously, it's not like football, basketball, where you literally become a superstar. We as
A millionaire
Texans
as long as
people,
you get picked too.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and we see, as Texans fans in a way, right? Quote unquote Texans fans. We see this kid, CJ Stroud, a rookie coming out of college, now like a superstar, and it's a whole different animal. But I mean, in soccer, some people become greats as well. So it's just a matter of skills, and I don't know if luck is involved, but for sure skills, and it's a good avenue to make it to the top ranks as well.
Sure, man. Like I said, it's exciting. The whole event, it is what it is. It's an
Yeah.
event. So, before we get a little too far into it, definitely just wanted to give a shout out to Ugly Guppy. Make sure you follow our sponsors at Ugly Guppy. They do a great job, man. I gave you your polo. Sure
Yes.
you liked it. That shirt
Yeah.
that we made was really nice. So, again, we're hoping to have um some gear for if you guys feel like it goes a long way. It helps us pay for all the hosting fees and keeping the website kind of going. And we really appreciate all the support that you guys do for us here at Bayou City Soccer. And again, just clicking, retweeting, liking, it's really, really appreciated. Next up, Juan Guerra. Such a cool name,
One.
Juan
Yeah.
Guerra. That's John War. We'll call him John
John
War.
Ward.
Um, Guy out of Caracas, Venezuela. It's not confirmed again as of right now, recording at 9:40 something on a Monday night. But the guy, I guess a little bio on him. Again, he's from Caracas, Venezuela. He did get to play mostly USL uh, teams like Tampa Bay Rowdies, New York Cosmos, in the 11. He's only 36 years old.
Crazy.
Man, 36 years old. Um, I'm right there. I'm right there.
I'm
But
almost there.
yeah. So everything looks like he's gonna be an assistant coming in, basically, I'm assuming taking one of the positions from what Brendan Burke was to
Mhm.
Ben Olsen. He was the assistant coach in Indy 11. He actually was an assistant coach at Phoenix Rising. Then he took a head coaching job in Oakland Roots, and eventually got to become the main guy at Phoenix Rising. Dude, it only took him like a year basically,
Yep.
and he won a championship.
One
So,
season.
yeah, one season, that's all it was. Ends up winning a championship, and just like that, he gets moved into what looks like an MLS job. I am hopeful to see Alejandro Fuenmayor make a return to the Houston Dynamo. But all joking aside, I mean, he did. I guess Fuenmayor, Venezuelan connection right there, man. He had him at Oakland Roots and eventually brought him to the Rights thing, and of course they ended up winning a championship together. But not a ton of information maybe that we have on Juan Guerra, but anything you want to add on just him kind of becoming an assistant
No,
and
it
just
I'm reading the report and it says that well the they don't they like you said they haven't said yet who the MLS club is, but um it says that one of the things that I'm reading here that the club actually paid for their buyout clause. So obviously it seems like they really wanted him. Obviously if it is the Houston Dynamo, they really wanted him. The qualities are there. Obviously, he's a young guy. And just looking at the track record of what Brendan Burke was able to accomplish, kind of on the same level that he was in. It's a great move for for Guerra and for him to come in and maybe fill that spot and hopefully grow his career as well. So yeah, just that
I
if he does come in, good luck.
that's funny they mentioned about the buyout, and they really wanted him, and I think Dustin was the one that found a picture of I think Sarah Lodum had shared it, and in that picture you had Juan Guerra.
Yeah,
Well, let me describe the picture. The picture was just a bunch of coaches and basically a graduating class as they were all getting their certificates. And Juan Guerra was there. Even Rico Clark was in
yeah,
there. Sarah Loden. And I can't remember if there was any other recognizable faces, but there's a connection there. There's always a connection.
yeah.
And like you said, if that was the guy that they felt strong about getting, dude, that's great. I mean, some people may see it as like, well, he was a head coach here, in USL, won a championship, but it's such a different level just because you don't have, um, you know, um, what is it called? Promotion relegation,
Yeah.
being a possibility. So it's a massive step up. So, good to see him get that opportunity. We'll see exactly what he ends up being just because Ben Olsen has a posse, he has a crew that he walks around with. Um
For real.
I don't think for a long time he used to just be a coach and an assistant, and now it's like there's a bunch of them, and
There's a whole
and
crew.
everybody is a little specialized, which is kind of cool to see. So we'll see exactly what he can provide. Uh you know full fully what's it called? I don't know anything about the tactics that he had with Phoenix Rising. I probably didn't watch a single game this season
Yeah.
of them. I did watch some USL, but I don't remember watching them in particular. So not necessarily know exactly what he's going to provide, but I know for sure one thing that Brendan Burke did do well was the set pieces. So maybe he'll be the one that comes in and takes over that role. And we'll see. Time will
Yeah.
tell, man.
But when he asked Joey, since he's our designated USL guy.
I wanted to have Joey so bad, and that's a good segue, man, because me and Joey were able to sit down and chat a little bit with Mr. MLS Insider himself, Mustache, Tommy Scoops, however you guys want to call him, but Tom Bogert, kind enough to give us a little bit of his time. He's super busy during this transfer season, and I guess I'll just shut up and let you guys listen to the clip. Bogert. Tom, thank you for joining us today.
What's going on, fellas? Thanks for having me.
Hey, I wasn't really sure, and when we were talking about it, I wasn't really sure what kind of title to give you. I mean, member of MLS Net Extra Time, writer for The Athletic, YouTuber now. I mean, a little bit of everything, man. Jack of all trades. But before we get any kind of scoops, just tell people, what you're currently working on, man, and how they can follow your great work.
Yeah, definitely at The Athletic. Got to be first and foremost. And then for the written content, did just start a YouTube channel last week. This brand new technology in 2024. I don't know if you've ever heard of YouTube. I know I'm on the cutting edge here. But yeah, I'm sinking or swimming at that. I'm pretty bad with new technology to me in terms of editing and crap. So that's been fun to try to learn and frustrating all at the same time. But the reaction's been pretty well, so I appreciate that a bunch. And then yeah, whenever Apple has me on, both on Extra Time and on Apple TV broadcast. So yeah, I'm a little bit everywhere. You can't get rid of me.
You can't get rid of it, man. Everybody's getting used to your mustache, on TV now.
Yeah, it does a lot of the heavy lifting for my personality.
But obviously, silly season is upon us for sure, and we're glad to have probably one of the, if not probably the best MLS insider with us. And I really had my fingers crossed. I told Dustin maybe when we record, that phone rings and we get some Dynamo news, maybe a DP winger or something, But let's just get your thoughts on the 2023 Houston Dynamo season. Obviously, definitely above everyone's expectations, but seeing it deal with all the teams, kind of with your thoughts on that on the 2023 season.
Yeah, the Houston Dynamo were honestly one of my favorite stories around the league last year. It was really cool to see the evolution of Ben Olsen, the evolution of some of the players in this team. Like go back to this time last year, Hector Herrera was viewed as a bad contract. He was not very good in his first half season. He was clearly focused on the World Cup. The Dynamo weren't very good around him. The coaching situation was bad. All of that. Hector Herrera was one of the best players in the league this year. Best 11. I forget if he officially made it or not. He was on my ballot, and in my book, that my personal record book, that's all that matters. He was phenomenal. He was everything in terms of quality on the field, leadership off the field, which is exactly what Pat Onstad and Ben Olsen kind of challenged him at the beginning of the season. Like, we need you to be the leader of this team, and he was. And again, like the way that the game model under Ben Olsen evolved from the last we saw him at DC United was awesome. I think that he changed a lot of people's opinions on him as a coach, and again, just shows that people can change and people evolve, and this is a nonstop process. And it was really cool to see all this. Coco Carrasquilla, both with Panama and Houston, breaking out. Corey Baird having his best season ever. Same thing with Griffin Dorsey. Like, there's so many likable, fun storylines within this team. And again, like, it's not just moral victories. They walked away from the season with a trophy and some playoff games. Like, I don't know. It was an awesome season to watch from the outside.
Yeah, like you mentioned Dorsey, yeah.
You mentioned Dorsey and Corey. They're both two big free agency moves so far. What are your thoughts on Dorsey's new contract and then Corey's potential contract with Cincy?
Yeah, so it's definitely tough. Like, obviously, I'm certain that Houston wanted to keep both. And I guess it was just more in the budget and made more sense to get Dorsey in, because he was extremely important to the game model. Again, like, the way it was back four, but Franco Escobar got forward on the left, but the way that Franco can defend and cover ground and like be a makeshift third center back if needed, really let Dorsey just kind of play more like a winger than like a fullback. And it was really important for the width, and like that was like crucial to the team. That's not to suggest or take anything away from Corey Baird, but like, I guess that, I don't know this for sure, but my assumption is they prioritized the Dorsey signing and then hoped to also bring in Baird, to bring back Baird, but that's not happening. I think he's going to be an awesome fit for FC Cincinnati as well. I hope that he got a well-deserved pay raise, and I'm sure that other teams are in for him, because again, he's a very good player that could fit in a lot of systems. But look, like that's kind of the thing that happens in a salary cap league. You have a couple guys who outperform their budget in a contract year. It's tough to keep everybody, particularly when you're a good team. So it's a good problem to have, I guess. I know fans would be disappointed that Corey Baird isn't coming back, but hey, at least they're only losing one rather than two.
Yeah, and obviously departures, right? There's just maybe the big one for many was Teenage Davy. Dude was solid in defense. That injury and the big contract, that's a DP, kind of it makes sense why you didn't come back. But another DP out there is Sebastian Ferreira. Obviously he got loaned out. every indication by the Dynamo is that he's supposedly really happy, wants to come back, wants to prove something. And yeah, exactly. In 2024, we saw him even training with an LAFC jersey. Some fans were like, "What the heck is happening here?" But just your thoughts on that, man. You think he'll be back for sure? You think that maybe buy him out? What do you think the strategy is going to be with someone like that, a DP that gets loaned out?
I wouldn't expect him to be bought out, because if they really wanted to do that, they could have just done that last year. Like, I like people throw around the buyout term, I think, a little bit too much for me, because, like, again, like, that's still money that ownership has to pay out, and like, it's not as if Sebas Ferreira is like an awful player. Like, sometimes it doesn't work out at clubs, so like, more likely to be a sale if he's to leave than anything else. But again, that depends on other teams, trying to sign him and pushing to sign him, and him agreeing to probably a lesser contract elsewhere because it hasn't gone right in Houston. I mean, for me, again, it depends on getting the other part, like another team, to look to buy him. I think that'd be the best case scenario for all parties: a fresh start for Ferreira somewhere else, an open DP spot for Houston to bring in a new center forward. But again, like, nothing that I've seen. I haven't really asked about this in recent times, so I don't know the latest on this. So again, we're gonna have to see how this develops.
And for the ends, we've only really been linked to the Cubano from Gremio, John Gabriel from Cortiba, and then Daniel Maldonado's with LAFC last year. And you didn't report on any of those either. Is there any truth to any of those rumors at all? Have you heard anything else?
I haven't. To be fair, I haven't had any kind of fresh conversations around any of those players. So while I haven't heard anything, I also haven't kind of asked. So that's not to say that it's all nonsense or even any of it is. But I can't independently confirm anything.
And I was gonna get that second question was any leads. Obviously, Dynamo, we know Asher and Pat, the general manager and the assistant, basically have been traveling all over since the end of the season. Actually, before, we were able to talk to them right before Christmas, and it was kind of buffering, and I told Joey, I'm just gonna believe that he's somewhere in the Amazons looking for the best, next Brazilian winger DP. But anything that any murmurs, any rumors that you possibly recently heard, or any noise on a player for the Dynamo at all?
No, I mean, nothing too specific, again, because it's like, it's not early in the off season, but it's still plenty of time to kind of have this stuff set. And a lot of it, for a lot of teams, and I think particularly so in this case for the Dynamo, is it depends as well on outgoings. So if Coco, like, they expected bids to come for Coco Karski in the summer, so they signed Kowalczyk. Coco Karski stayed, win a trophy, and now they're assuming that bids are going to come again this winter. And I think I reported like a week and a half ago, they still hadn't gotten anything official yet, but there had been interest from like Brazil, Mexico, and Spain. So I'd imagine that they would add another central midfielder if and when Coco Karski leaves. But again, like, they would need that roster space, that salary allocation of Coco Karski leaving, and knowing what kind of allocation money they will get back in terms of the sale to kind of go in for another addition. And same thing with Sebas Ferreira. Like, my understanding was to expect them to look for a DP center forward or another addition up top. And again, now particularly with Bear leaving, but if Sebas Ferreira comes back, if they're like, hey, let's try it again in preseason, see how it goes, then there's no rush to bring in another center forward, because that would just be a lot of money and whatever tied into one position. And again, so like, it's a long-winded way of saying, like, things are still fluid and things are still kind of being worked out.
This last year, we had Messi come in, so huge for the league, and now we got some more stars coming in: Suarez and Lloris, Forsberg. What are some stars you want to see maybe come to Major League Soccer by the end of this year, or next year, or the years to come?
I've been dying for Olivier Giroud to come to MLS for a few years now. There's been some rumors, and I saw some fresh rumors like a couple days ago that he's considering it again this summer. I don't care that he's 37. Zlatan, I think, was that age when he got here. Like, he's still the best starting center forward for AC Milan. Like, he'd be awesome in this league, particularly in like a possession-based team where he could just kind of play as a target man, play as like a poacher, advanced forward kind of thing. So Olivier Giroud, I would absolutely love. I really hope that he ends up in MLS this summer or sometime in the near future. Another player is Antoine Griezmann. I really can't wait until, I know he's said it about 100 times over the last few years, but whenever Antoine Griezmann leaves Atletico Madrid and comes to MLS, I'll be very excited.
When obviously we know a lot of players are going to leave as well. I think you just mentioned, reported recently about Dennis Bouanga maybe looking into doing an exit. We saw Brandon Vasquez, move to Monterrey. Just your thoughts on that too, of just some of the star players leaving, and some of the, I guess, new incoming too with the USM national team as well.
Yeah, I do find it interesting that particularly with Colorado bringing back Georgi Mihailovic and Zach Steffen, there's Georgie's entering his prime. Steffen is still in his prime. I know he's had injury concerns over the past few years, but this idea of players who went to Europe and maybe it didn't work out perfectly and have it coming back in their prime, to be able to get Steffen on a non-DP deal, and again, I think Georgi Mihailovic is extremely worth a DP deal. So I find that kind of pedigree and profile player super, super interesting. And then in terms of outgoings, I think we all expected Brandon Vasquez to go to Europe, but let me tell you, Monterrey, first of all, Monterrey had easily the highest bid to FC Cincinnati. And I can tell you that Brandon Vasquez is going to make more at Monterrey than if he went to a championship club or even a mid-table Bundesliga club. Let me tell you that the spending power for Monterrey, Tigres, Chivas, Club America is very, very strong. So again, I know I agree with and understand why national team fans might not be thrilled that he's going to end up at Monterrey, and people might think that it's a sideways move, Cincinnati, Monterrey. I get it, but look, man, you can't blame a guy for going to get in the bag, right? It's not like he turned down something similar in Europe because he just preferred to go to Mexico, right? I don't know. All of these things need to be taken into case by case basis, and every player has to make the right decision for them. And so that's kind of where it ended up with Brandon Vasquez.
A follow up with Brandon Vasquez. He got sold for what, $7.5 million to $8 million with incentives. Is that correct?
Yeah, 7.5 plus $1 million in add-ons, and Cincinnati are keeping a sell-on clause.
And that's a pretty massive fee for a player who's not really had a consistency of scoring goals over a long time in this league. How do you think that further inflates the sales of players from this league, and specifically Americans?
Yeah, I will say in his case, having the Mexican passport, Mexican citizenship, makes it obviously made him more valuable to Mexican teams because he would count as a domestic player. But yeah, I think the difference with Vasquez is it was kind of sustained over a 2-year period. His league numbers only last year weren't as strong as the year before, but he scored a ton of goals in Leagues Cup and Open Cup and stuff like that. So on the balance of everything, that's a 2.5 year sample size really at the end of 2022. About a 2.5 year sample size of this is a consistent goal scorer in a good league. So it is cool to see that clubs are, I don't know, 7 years ago, how much even with the same stats, Brandon Vasquez, a player like him, maybe he goes from $3 million or whatever, right? So it is cool to see how American players and players from MLS are being recognized. That's when Miguel Almiron goes and has success in England, and Tyler Adams goes and has success, and Brendan Aronson to Salzburg and has success. All this, you kind of go down the line. It's okay, the price is going to keep going up because these are proven commodities. This isn't an unknown anymore. It's the same way any other emerging market. MLS teams going to Colombia, it's getting more and more expensive than it was 10 years ago because of how many Colombians have had success in MLS, and you just kind of go down the line like that. And it's cool to see that happening for MLS in terms of Europe.
Yeah, I guess just one more and we'll close that out, Tom. Thanks again for the time. But Houston did pick up some very good college players or good college prospects in the draft. One of them being Usman Asila, I believe, who was named, obviously. Funny enough, obviously there's been a lot of non-soccer fans getting into, non-soccer media getting into Dynamo, so they were calling it the Heisman Trophy of the college soccer. But it looks like he may be eyeing Europe. Is there any? But the Dynamo feel very confident that they can retain him. But anything you heard on this situation?
I haven't heard any updates since he got drafted, other than that it was a very big surprise to me and people around him that he went in the second round, third round, whatever it was. This dude was just named the best player in college soccer. Apparently there's stuff behind the scenes about it wasn't that teams didn't think he was good. It was, well, hey, can we sign him? And hey, is there going to be training compensation from his youth club in Africa, stuff like so. It didn't have anything to do with his quality as a player as to why he slipped to where he did. I haven't heard anything new, but I'm sure that news will start to come out as we get closer to preseason, because we'll either have to report to preseason or look in Europe for accept some of those overtures from European clubs.
Well, Don, thanks again, man, for joining us here at Bayou City Soccer and keeping us MLS sickos well informed, my friend.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so that was a great conversation that we were able to have with Tom. Again, super happy that he was able to make some time. We'll have more guests like that in the podcast. And within 2 weeks, Christian, will have our first live podcast. We'll see if we can get anybody to join. We'll see kind of how that works. If somebody wants to join live, it doesn't have to be a big name personality. I mean, those will be great, but maybe we'll leave. I'm just getting a guest. We'll get a guest, because at this point we got to brainstorm. We have 2 weeks to try to get it. And then obviously we'll record again. Probably not Monday night. Not thinking about it, Christian. Probably Tuesday. Next week I'm out of town, but I should be free Tuesday night, not Monday night. So now, when it comes to editing, we'll have to figure that out, man. But that's a whole nother topic. Yeah. So we coming back to it from everything that Tom said. Obviously, not a ton of news from the Dynamo, which we are the people that cover the Dynamo. We know how limited the information is, and something that he mentioned, Christian, that we've talked about enough as well, and just kind of want to, before we get out of here, just point is the fact that a lot of things aren't happening because of some of the players that are still there, right? We've been talking about the Coco Carrasquilla leaving. It's been almost 6 months, maybe more, actually, and so that's one. And then obviously he talked about Sebastian Ferreira. He's coming back, whether he's really trying to impress and trying to work out, or he's just fed up and tries to get a buyout at this point. Just, who knows? Who knows what it is? But man, just your thoughts on that, on those two guys trying to get out of here so it can open up some space, man.
Yeah. I mean, basically going to the Coco stuff. I mean, since we brought him from Europe, basically we brought him just to kind of not hype him up, but kind of give him a platform, right? So he can go back to Europe. I think that was the idea in just buying him in the first place, kind of get him some minutes. He wasn't getting minutes in that second division team that he was over there in Spain. So bringing him back to the United States, kind of giving him a little bit of more notoriety in a way, being close to home, quote unquote. Having the Gold Cup coming up, I think it was the same year, right? And just all those tournaments that happen here in North America was like the great opportunity to have him moving. And, I've been watching a lot of kind of interviews and videos that he's been doing in Panama. And he kind of seems like the best, if not one of the best players, if not the best player that the country kind of has at the moment. So he's big news. Any rumors, any noise that is around Coco Carrasquilla, all the channels will pick it up, all the programs will pick it up, and he's like a big commodity. So it's not like we're talking, well, at least in Panama, he's a big deal. And I think in CONCACAF, he's also one of the best players that, you guys
not everybody wins that MVP tournament,
exactly.
So
one person wins it, right? The MVP trophy, and he got it. So he's a big deal. He happens to be at our club. I think, both parties, Coco and the Houston Dynamo, know that his idea or his plan is to go back to Europe. So myself, personally, I think he's going to go in the summer. He needs a really good 6 months here, in the United States and the MLS, with everything that's going to kind of be happening and going. I think Panama is in Copa America as well, if I'm not mistaken.
They're trying to qualify it, I believe. Yeah.
So they're in the cusp.
They play against Honduras or Costa Rica. I forgot who, but
that's gonna be good.
That's the playoff.
Yeah. And if they make it in, that's another platform that he's gonna be able to get. I mean, we heard of Brazilian rumors. Brazilians are ready pay for anything. They have the cash to buy anybody, and it's a good league. I mean, Brazilian league it has to be in the top 10 leagues in the world as well. So anywhere that he can get more eyes on is perfect, and I'm just glad that the Dynamo are that
I,
avenue for that.
I'm absolutely lying. I feel like a fool for lying. I for whatever reason I thought that was a playoff, but you're right. They're actually in Copa America
They're in,
already.
yeah.
So
Okay.
they'll be playing against Uruguay, United States, and Bolivia. So
Perfect.
you are correct. And honestly, I think the reason why I see it that way too is just, granted, they may do it again, but I think they're just overvaluing how much,
Yes,
and
I
and I
agree.
and whenever us that we follow the game, and hell, you can ask Joey stats on the ratings he gives them. He just There's really high expectations for Coco, and he's just not meeting them at times. So,
I agree.
they may want 7 million, 10 million. I mean, Tom talked about Vasquez being like almost 8 million transfer. That's right there already your standard. So they're
Yeah.
probably wanting more than that. And it's going to be difficult to sell him on that high. So you're just expecting for him to ball out, like you said, the next 6 months, have a pretty good tournament in Copa America, whether they go far, and get out of the group stages or not. But if he can put a good performance and someone falls in love with him, that's who's gonna pick him up, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just a part of it, man. And I think it's just the beginning right now. And you mentioned about the interviews. Yeah, some of the interviews, it's the same questions. It's like, hey, where are you going? Where are you
Yeah.
going? Are you
Yeah.
going to Spain? Are you going? It's like, dude, and his answers. The one thing about Coco, no matter what, he's very humble. He's very humble. He's not gonna um add on to. There's nothing there basically to add on, and so he just tells them like, look, there is interest. There's nothing concrete right now. My thing is I'm gonna be traveling to Houston January 12th to report to camp January 15th. I've heard that him say that at least 5 times, in those interviews. So
Yeah.
right now that's what it is right now. There's nothing happening because, and it's also very difficult in the winter to get anybody to buy in. A lot of teams aren't necessarily looking for a big move, and if you're gonna spend 10 million on him, that's a big
Or
move.
in anybody, yeah. Yeah, if you're gonna spend 10 million on anybody, it has to be like groundbreaking, hit the
Right.
floor running, gonna make a difference. And I'm not saying Coco could not, but like you said, and talking to Joey will tell you otherwise. And to us, even though he's a great valuable player to our team, me personally, I see him in the 4 to 6 million range,
Yeah, yeah,
and
I agree. I
yeah,
think if you can get 5, maybe 6 max,
yeah,
you're good. I think you're good. We don't really know how much they paid.
yeah.
I mean, there's rumors and reports of what the Dynamo spend on him, but if they don't feel
Break
they're
even.
getting their money's worth, then it's kind of dumb for them to do it. We all see
Yeah.
it as like, bro, sell it, sell it. I'm a salesman by trade, and I always say, hey, $1 is better than $0. Like
It's
if
true,
they
right?
whatever they're offering you, man, take it at that point. If it's better than what you have nothing at this point. So,
Yeah,
and then lastly, just to touch on Ferreira, we
yeah,
know the Ferreira thing. To me, is very difficult whenever you're a D, especially here, because you're labeled a DP. Everywhere you go, it's a designated player, and it's very difficult when you have a designated player that did not come
sucks.
in. Well, let's not say he
No,
sucks,
no, I was kidding. Yeah.
but he sucks. He does suck.
A little bit.
2023 was an awful year for him. I think he scored 0 goals. Fantastic. Um, but no, where I was going with that is like it's difficult whenever you're already labeled as a DP, right? A
Mhm.
designated player, and then they loan your ass out.
Yeah,
That
it's
says a
terrible.
lot there. And
Yeah,
so for him to now be like, okay, I'm ready, and obviously the Dynamo want him to work out because, like Tom mentioned, it's very difficult. People say buy out, buy out, buy him out. You still got to pay that dude money.
yeah,
It's kind of like those or those NFL coaches that get like a 3-year contract. They get fired in 6 months, and they made everything that they were told.
that's
If they
crazy.
they own them 20 million, you got 20 million, and that type of money, that's really, really bad for, just wasting that much money on him. And you hope that he comes in, you hope that he works out. But yeah, little things and antics of, bro, you're training. Why the hell are you wearing an LAFC shirt? Why the hell are you wearing an Austin FC shirt? To some of us, it may not matter. To me, it's okay. It's whatever, right? But the LAFC shirt, like that right there is like, really? Like,
That hurt
your
your feelings?
team. Yeah, well, you know what I mean? I mean, if you
No, yeah,
see,
yeah, yeah.
if he's a player that is already on the way looking out and you're trying to fit in again, you're just, if the fan base was maybe a little excited that you were coming back, we're gonna get another turn at you. We're like, hey, what? Everybody gets second chances, and then you do that type of crap. It's easy to people turn away, man. I don't know your thoughts in general, and just are you happy with having Ferreira probably another year?
Well, I mean, this is the last year of his contract, correct? He has 2 more years. Damn, that changes everything that I had in
Yeah,
mind.
he
'Cause
has
I
two
was
more
thinking,
years.
yeah, because I was thinking, let's just say that this is the last year, right? And then after this, he has to either, get re-signed, quote unquote, or go somewhere. I mean, this is like the trial year for him in a way to kind of get renewed or to, get everything. But I mean, he still has another year to kind of slack off if he wanted to in a way because he's still under contract. I mean, you can sit your ass on the bench for 2 years and not play. I don't think he wants that as a professional soccer player. You obviously want to come in and play, get minutes, score. I mean, the reason he left alone is because he wasn't getting minutes, right? We would like to think, even though he didn't get a lot of minutes, even when he was loaned out.
And Thor
So
got the same amount of minutes and he scored
yeah,
goals. Look at that. Wow.
exactly. So, I mean, it's a tough situation. I guess the only thing we could do is just believe him when he says that he's ready or he's training and he wants to come back. I don't know, but he does seem thinner. I don't know if that makes any difference to anybody, but at least he looks like he's running. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he's
It's like
doing
that
some
was the
running
point a lot
drills.
of people were making. It's like, oh, he's
Yeah,
wearing those shirts, but at least
at
he's
least he's running,
training. At least he's
right? Yeah.
running. At least he's trying to get in shape. Yeah.
So, I guess we got to take the good with the bad. I mean, the whole LAEFC shirt, honestly, me myself, I'm not tripping. Just because I don't feel like he or a lot of players that come to the MLS, I don't think they feel the same things we feel as fans, right? I think I got more pissed off with Matias Vera wearing the Austin jersey just because him being an Argentinian and knowing how shit is between wearing rival colors, and they'd be like, come on, bro, you know how the culture is. Even if you don't care about the soccer culture in the United States, at least do it for your morals, type thing. At least don't. I have a
And
West.
what did I tell you? What did I tell you? What did I tell the group? His ass got loaned out, not
Yeah,
like a month after that video,
yeah.
basically. So, not saying that that's the reason why,
No, yeah,
but
yeah,
people know that. People notice
yeah.
stuff like that, dude.
Yeah, no, people do. I mean, at the end of the day,
Hey,
we're
you work for
fans, and
HEV, right? What if you
yeah.
start wearing Walmart gear? You think
Well,
people would like that stuff?
I get mad when my parents go to Walmart. I'm like, bro, what the fuck y'all doing?
Right? What an
Like,
insult. I
yeah,
agree.
you know what I mean? And like, it's just because the way that I am, and I'm proud of the things that I represent. So that's just the way that I am, and I want to say that most Dynamo fans are the same way with their colors, right? I was just gonna say that I have a West Ham jersey that I won in a raffle, and I would wear it, but then when I started supporting Aston Villa, I just feel kind of weird wearing it. So like
Sure.
I have it there, and it's funny because sometimes you're like, yeah, I'm not even British, like I could give two shits and just wear the shirt because it's a badass shirt, but it's just part of like it's ingrained in you. So I mean, I don't think he cares. What I care though is that he comes in, busts his ass, gets some goals. I mean, at this point, we're kind of stuck with him, right? We're not gonna buy him out. Even Tom said, it's a good amount of money. At the end of the day, the owner has to drop the money. I don't think he wants to, and he's gonna have to work his ass off. And if not, he's gonna write the bench. And as much as we don't want him to write the bench, I think he feels the same way. I don't think he wants to write the bench either. I mean, he was pissed off last year, which is good. You want that from him. But, as much as you are mad, I want you to get on the damn field and score some goals. So
Yeah, for sure.
better, hey, but also better service, better team. Hopefully, when he scored 12, 13 goals that first season, and you saw the team around him, it was trash, right? The second year when he started, same team. This year, going into 2024, everybody, is hopeful. Even Tom said, I mean, we could be contenders in a way, of fighting at least 1 or 2 trophies out of the 4 that we're competing in. So it's a whole rebuild. It's a whole better team around us. It's a whole better team around him, and maybe that would help him, at least poach some goals.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, he's under contract for 2 more years, I believe,
Yeah,
and an
that's
option.
wild.
So for the Dynamo to be able to get rid of him, if the only way it's to have him ball out and
Yeah.
score some goals, because that's the only way that somebody would look at it. You probably are going to take a loss no matter what in that situation, being that he was reported as the highest transfer ever. I mean, I don't know if Hector Herrera beat that, but I will actually no, because he came in as
Probably,
a
right?
free agent. No, he
Oh,
came
yeah,
as a
so,
free transfer. So
not true.
yeah, that he'd be the most amount spent on an actual transfer. So you want him to be able to score goals, so that way
Yeah.
you can. Somebody looks at him and they're like, "Hey, I'll give you 2 million sold." That's it. You just need one guy to bid on it, and you
Yeah.
can get some money back. So, anyways, that's just kind of where it's at. We'll be back again next week. We'll have more to touch on. Have to get close to the schedule. Hopefully, we'll get Joey or Rodrigo to join, and then again the last um week of the month we should have a live show. We'll get that going, and maybe you guys can join us live,
Yeah, of
chat
course.
with
Join
us,
us live, man.
and get with it. But Christian, tell the people how they can connect with
Yes.
us, man.
Last thought before we go.
Yeah.
I'm really hyped about that, the draft kit, the forward. I saw a couple clips. I know clips are not everything, but I'm pretty hyped. So another forward to compete. So
Yeah.
Thor, he's gonna have to step up as well. But yeah, you can always find us and get to us at BayouCitySoccer.net. You can find us at Bayou City Soccer on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as well. Don't forget, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, like if you haven't on those videos. And yeah, man, at Bayou City Soccer, you can find us there. Rudy Segura 01. Rodrigo, I don't know. No, you're 3. Rudy Segura 3, Rodrigo Segura 01. And then you can find the boys at their perspective. I'm blanking on everybody, so I'm just gonna say
Hey, you're
us.
good.
And then you can find me at Chris Putalias, but at Bayou City Soccer for everything and anything. Go give us a shout out over there.
Yeah, hope you guys enjoy the show. Again, like Christian said, make sure to follow us on social medias, but do us a favor, go to YouTube, subscribe to it, go to your favorite podcast, wherever you listen to, make sure you subscribe. And if you have time, give us a review, throw a 5-star. Let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what we're doing wrong. We're here to learn as well from you guys and see what you guys are interested in listening. And whatever you do, always remember to hold it down and keep it forever orange. Let's go.